What's happening, YouTube? Owen here from Dark Entertainment, the place to hear tales from Wales and afar. If you're into creepy stories donated to us by people like yourselves, then feel free to like and subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Now, let's get into the video. First of all, let me apologise for the delay in creating this next video. It's been a while. Unfortunately, I've not been able to make one for a variety of reasons. First off, I attended a stag do in Poland that nearly killed me, returned, and had the flu, which I thought was going to kill me. And since my immune system was knackered, I then ended up catching COVID, which once again nearly killed me. But I'm back now. Over the last few weeks, I've sounded like I've swallowed a cactus, so forgive me if occasionally my voice cracks like a teenager with testicle gravity deficiency. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all my new subscribers for supporting this strange little channel. It does mean a lot, and I hope to provide a lot more content for you soon. Now, on to the video. If you have not seen my last video, I'll leave a link in the description, or click the link in the top corner of the screen now. This strange incident garnered worldwide attention, and has since been referenced multiple times due to its remarkable resemblance to several other incidents, especially another occurrence at a school in Africa. However, as stated in my last video, things were only going to get stranger. My partner and I drove to Broadhaven. We saw the school where the children witnessed the bizarre object. We also drove just outside of Broadhaven to see two locations where even crazier things were seen. Unfortunately, we couldn't get to see one of the properties since it's on private land. That would be the Ripperston farm. As much as I love my new viewers, I'm not going to get arrested for it. That is what we call hard excrement. In the following days and weeks after the school sightings, other unusual things were seen. Orbs of light jetting around out at sea were reported, and strange craft, metallic and cylindrical in appearance, were seen all over the Welsh coast. But one family were about to have a whole different experience. An experience that was altogether more terrifying. This dark tale begins in late January 1977. Pauline looked out at the dark sky outside her kitchen window, only to see a small burning ball out at sea. Although she rationalized what she saw, convincing herself that it was a flare from the nearby RAF base or a ship out at sea, that was until it began to move. The object swung from side to side before shooting down at an incredible speed below the cliff line. Over the next few weeks, electrics in their house began to burn out, with Billy, Pauline's husband, constantly having to replace fuses and bulbs. Things started to get scary when Leanne, one of the couple's twin daughters, screamed in the middle of the night after seeing a large shadowy figure staring over her bed, which drifted out of the room. On the two occasions this happened, the family woke to find their TV unresponsive, as if the electrics had burned out. A few weeks later, Pauline was driving her eldest son Kieran and their twin daughters Leanne and Joanne home for the evening. The children were excited about driving home to see the $6 million man on TV, when suddenly Kieran got hold of his mother's arm, causing her to swerve the car. As she turned to berate him, she saw what he was staring at. The fiery red orb was back. It was undulating back and forth above them before hurtling toward the car. Pauline floored the car as her children screamed in the back seat. The orb flew over the car and then circled around behind them. Pauline glanced at the orb in the rearview mirror in fear before slamming her foot on the accelerator. If she could just get to the end of the road, they'd be able to get to safety at the farm. Her children were screaming and clutching her as the orange shape began moving at an incredible speed up the street behind the car. She began to panic as the electricity in the car slowly began to fail. It was then that she realized that it had caught them. It was above the car and had caused the car to burn out just like the house electrics. She screamed at her children to get out, and they all ran to their house where Billy and Clifford, her eldest son, ran out to greet them. The two men arrived in time to see the glowing ball beaming light onto the roof of the abandoned car before shooting off at an incredible speed. Billy and Clifford looked at each other in disbelief before pushing the car back to the house. Over the next few weeks, the family were constantly plagued by electrical faults, as well as stories in the local media about strange craft spotted in the sky around Broadhaven. They tried to continue with their everyday running of the farm and ignored the rumours. That was until one fateful Friday night. Billy and Pauline had been looking forward to spending the evening watching a film together after the children had gone to bed. As they watched, Billy drifted off to sleep. Pauline continued to watch as he slept until a strange light lit up the back wall of the room. She ignored it, believing that it was a car headlights on the road outside. That was until Billy hurled himself out of the chair screaming. They threw themselves to the back of the wall, clutching each other in fear. The light was coming from a terrifying figure peering through the window. They described it as being over 7 foot tall, wearing a silvery spacesuit and a black visor that concealed its face. Pauline ran upstairs to comfort the children who had been startled by the noise as Billy scrambled for the phone. He immediately called his nearest neighbour and the Broadhaven police, screaming for them to help him and his family. He then cowered in the corner until he heard the sound of sirens approaching. When he appeared around the corner towards the terrifying figure, the creature had reached out a hand to the front door where the glass had begun to violently shake. As the lights began to appear behind the figure, Billy watched in horror as the monster vanished in front of him. As you can imagine, the family were irate by the time the police and the neighbours arrived at the door. The fear and distress displayed by the whole family obviously showed and disturbed the officers to the degree that they requested the front door remain open as they searched for evidence just in case it came back. They found a large footprint pressed into the soil of the rose garden outside the window that was much larger than the average man's. This supported Billy's description of the creature outside, but could have been faked. What was not easily explained was that the roses had completely withered, and the paint around the window appeared to be damaged. It was later determined that high levels of radiation were responsible for the damage. Not quite as easily faked. Although this incident terrified the family, Pauline and Billy decided to carry on as normal for the sake of their children. Easier said than done when half of the community is petrified of interlopers, and the other half believed that you were trying to garner attention. Tensions ran high in the small town, and the family was shunned. Billy was even attacked on one occasion by another farm owner who accused him of trying to scare his family. Billy's response: "How do you think my family feels?" Several days later, a friend of Pauline's rang the house. Pauline wept silently as her friend Rosa began to offload a terrifying experience of her own that closely resembled Pauline's. She explained that several nights before, around the same time as the creature in the silver suit stalked the Coombs family farm, Rosa had noticed a strange light emanating from the garden behind the hotel she owned. She stated that when she peered out of the window, she saw a large glowing metallic object in her garden. It was emitting a bright light like that of a star. Shielding her eyes from the searing light, she made out 3 figures that caused her to recoil in fear. They were tall and thin, with fleshy bodies. But most terrifying of all, they had a black hole where their faces should have been. She screamed as all 3 looked at the window where she was, but then was amazed to see the entire scene disappear in front of her eyes. The next morning, all that was left was several scorch marks on the grass. As tears rolled down her cheeks, Pauline made an excuse and hung up the phone before crying into her hands, wondering when the nightmare would end. To all my viewers, happy Halloween. And on a final note, we visited the Havenford Hotel that was once run by Rosa. We couldn't get close since the property has recently been sold and is now under renovation. But even as we sat in the car peering out at the property, we had the horrible sense that we were being watched. Well, that's all from us here at Dark Entertainment. We hope that you've enjoyed the episode. We'll see you again in Broadhaven Part 3. If you're enjoying the channel, leave a comment down below, or on Twitter, or on Facebook. We're looking to expand the channel, so if you could share this to your friends who are interested in this subject, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you have any suggestions on how to improve it, I'm all ears. Ta-ta!